Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today I got a couple of people actually asking me if I saw Indy's new video, and I'm actually curious. So I'm going to do a reaction to this. Big shout outs to Inder, Indy Bear, whatever you want to call him. And yeah, so the link will be in the description. Check it out. We're going to give our thoughts on this. I have no idea what this is about, but it's called This Is Why You Aren't Enjoying Pokemon Unite as Much. So let's take a look and see what this is all about.
Hey everyone, it's Inder. Welcome back to another Inder's Notes. So why are you not enjoying Unite anymore? Well, my first guess...
I'm going to go ahead and answer the question. It's not competitive unless you play 5 stacks. There's not good enough retention for solo queue players, meaning like a solo duo ladder. The matchmaking is terrible because the ranked mode is terrible, which is like the 4th point, because it allows anybody to get to the highest rank. Therefore, the games don't really feel competitive. Like I said, it just doesn't really feel competitive. And so for me personally, that competitive itch that I want when I'm looking to play a MOBA or play a competitive game, it just kind of isn't there because the burden is always on my shoulders to carry everybody, as opposed to having like pretty decent competitive matches with something that I can actually grind, like a leaderboard, right? It's just not there. It doesn't exist in the game for solo queue players. So that's my answer, but I digress. So let's go ahead and listen.
Is that you're one of 4 of the following types of players.
Ooh.
You play the game with the intention of climbing and getting better. You like to try hard, not at a pro level, but the best that you can be.
Yes. 2,
you play the game either as a current pro like me, or with aspirations to get there one day. 3, you play the game casually, logging on to complete events and to try out new things like new characters. Or finally 4, you rarely play or don't play at all. You mostly come on YouTube to watch content. When you do play, it might be versus bots, standard games.
Not that casual, but I do enjoy content.
You're not really interested in the game anymore. Well, my current hypothesis is regardless of which player type you are, the game is becoming less enjoyable for you day by day. It's hard to pin it to any particular reason. Well, it might be things like Zacian and Comfy. They've got you down. You just don't want to play those characters, but it's too frustrating to play against them all the time.
Well, there's no pick band phase, so you can't split them, so you can basically guarantee that there's one on every team in every game. I mean, that's the other thing, right? It's not competitive. It just doesn't exist, so...
Maybe it's the introduction of the countless number of bugs that we have. We started the season with Slowbro being unplayable at Surf, Zacian Sacred Sword ignored almost all of your defenses, Dragon Dance on Dragonite was incredibly glitchy, or, Scyther or Shifu, Mew, all of these different characters just being completely broken, just to name a couple. Maybe it's the fact that you have to now look at your teammates' items and you can't cope with the fact that your Cinderace has EXP shared stat.
Okay, so I have to put it just this really random thought. There was no better gameplay to put than you just like walking around in a bot match. Like, I'm sorry, you couldn't have pulled like a Twitch stream, like any of the recent tournaments, like literally anything else in the background, because the editing on top of it is great, but the mundane running around like farming bots stuff is like really awkward. To this point, I think that the new patch showing people's items, it's always been this bad, right? People have always been this bad and using dumb items, but it's eye-opening for people that aren't bad, that are like, wait a minute, these people are really bad. So anybody that was using Unite API already saw this, but basically a lot more people are eye-open to the fact that like the vast majority of Pokemon Unite's player base is just absolutely terrible, and not even just terrible. A lot of the time they just have no clue what they're doing, but they still find their way to a high rank, which is problematic for many reasons.
Hacking specs and leftovers on with the goal getter, make it even better with the goal getter. I mean, they also removed the quick jump, which was one of the best mechanics in the game that felt rewarding as a player.
I agree.
Still haven't fixed the number of crashes in the game. Sometimes your game literally breaks and you can't see anything on your screen. Trevenant and Sableye keep you locked down and you can't move your character at all.
CC is pretty crazy.
Fun at all to play into. Maybe it's just too much to deal with, and I think it's getting there. But I think all of those combined still don't have it as bad as the one big problem I think we're facing this season. Okay,
so I'm gonna make a hypothesis, and I kind of hope I'm wrong because I'm really putting it out here. I think we're going to get into the nitty gritty on why the game is feeling bad. Like, he's about to tell us, but I wonder if there's going to be like a point where he's like, but Pokemon Unite is still so great. Like, I'm kind of expecting that to come towards the end. Like, I'm going to hypothesize around 6 minutes to 6.5 minutes down here, he's gonna flip the switch on us, and we're gonna hear about like why the game is still fun to play and stuff, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just like, I'm trying to read the outline. But yeah, let's hear why the game is not as fun anymore.
And that's matchmaking. Now, normally I'm a big believer that anyone can make it out of the matchmaking. We all have to deal with the same consequences, so it's not really that bad at the end of the day. That being said, I think that might still be somewhat true this season. Things have definitely gotten much worse. The system feels like it's literally broken and is working against you. The first proof that I have for this is that the #1 team on the ladder has surpassed what I think is 5,000 master points, something that was functionally impossible in the past. Now, with no intention to discredit their achievement, kudos to them. They've done a great job, and they definitely deserve where they're.
Okay, so I just had this huge smile as I hear him say matchmaking, because I have historically been spearheading the campaign against how terrible this game's matchmaking is. And now here's the thing. I can't take that as a 1-to-1 win, right? Oh, Krashy said it back in the day. He's right. Look at all these months forward over the year, year plus, almost 2 years the game's been out. And I can't just take that as a 1-to-1 win. The reason why is because this season, and I've seen it, is absolutely worse. This season, not last season, not since I quit the game, this season right now is absolutely worse. And I've seen it. I've seen the high 5 stacks playing against duo trio with veterans. I've seen it. I've seen the pictures on Twitter. I've been linked it. Lush has shown it to me. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there, but they don't know how to make this game work. And it's really not that complicated. The problem with Pokemon Unite is that it is a competitive game, but it's also a casual game. You can't ignore that. But you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have both. You can have incentives and rewards for people playing standards, and you can have very serious ranked mode requiring a positive win rate to climb, requiring that you can't play in 5 stacks. You can have all of these things and have a phenomenal game for years. But what you're seeing is the degradation of Pokemon Unite. And dude, this is where I was the prophet, the grand prophet of the universe, right? Looking at Pokemon Unite like, this is not going to go well in the long term. Now, has it led to the death of the game? No, I actually think Pokemon, surprising, this was new to me. I actually do think that the Pokemon IP is strong enough to keep this game alive despite all those issues. But it doesn't make the game good. And I think that if you ask me, if I had to answer, is the game good or bad? I would say it's bad. And that's unfortunate because the gameplay is phenomenal, but the game doesn't offer a good experience. So let's continue.
They're at because they're working with the same system as everyone else. It's not very fun to have to deal with what they're doing right now. Those players, and no problem of their own, get to play the game as the highest rated stack on the ladder against veteran players, low master players, ultra players, literally anyone. And because 5 stacks can still play against duo queues and trio queues, you could pair up with your friend as 2 ultra players and have to play against the #1 team in the world while you just logged on to have a fun game playing, what might just be Hoopa and, Cinderace with your friend.
Semantics on what the duo queue plays. The reality is that 5 stacks should never face anything but 5 stacks ever, literally ever. Realistically, at the highest rank of most competitive games, you can literally compare this to many games, Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, League of Legends, like all of these games. You Valorant, you can't 5 stack or 6 stack, whatever the games are at that point. You can't. It's literally not possible. A lot of the times, ranked gets cut down to solo duo queue, and it's better that way because it's more fair for everyone. I also did want to say a couple of things. There was the part where he said, well, technically everybody's dealing with the same circumstances. Fair does not equal fun, and fair doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. I think that's really, really important to know. Everybody's dealing with the same matchmaking, so it's technically fair, but that's not good. That doesn't make it good, and it definitely doesn't make it fun. Also, to the point about the 5 stacks just playing the way they want to play, hey, it really is don't hate the player, hate the game, right? And absolutely everyone should be hating the game, right? And I don't mean literally hate the game. It's like hate on the developers for their lack of care on this issue, which has been going on for 18 months or whatever. Obviously it's worse this season. I'll acknowledge that, but matchmaking ranked mode in Pokemon Unite has never been good. It's literally never been good. We maybe didn't care about it as much back then because we were honeymooning the game and enjoying it, figuring it out. We didn't know the issues, but it has never been good. And we are seeing, like I said, the degradation of like the perception that it's good. We are seeing that, not that the game is dying. Again, I'm not saying that. Not that people are quitting in mass, right? It's that people are opening their eyes to the issues, right? No Krashy around, people still complain. That's what you see. When Krashy's around, I was the complainer, obviously. But regardless, you're seeing more and more people recognize the issues. And not only that, the issues have gotten worse. Pay-to-win issues, gem locking have gotten worse. Some of these issues have gotten worse. Some issues with the devs have actually gotten better. Communication patch notes, that's gotten better. But everything else either gotten worse or stayed the same. So,
whatever it might be, that's not very good. Now, that's only one stack in one region. What does this mean for everyone else? Well, it means that even if I were to stack with my team or my friends, and we've been rank 1 on the ladder before, we've been really high rated, we could still be playing against literally anyone in the world that decided to duo queue, and that is past the veteran rank. That's not a fair system, and it's not what it used to be like in the past. They definitely messed something up, and I know the system is particularly messed up because I could sit down with 4 of my friends, we could all be around the same master points, we could see another 5 stack queuing up at the same exact time at us, with around the same number of points as us as well,
queue into them.
And we won't match against each other. Even if we're in the same region, even if we're around the same points, we'll both individually get 2 lower rated stacks for whatever reason. It makes no sense. The system is obviously working against you, and it can feel really, really frustrating at times. Now, this isn't the case for all of your games, obviously. If it was, you would, everyone would be doomed with a 30% win rate. But it happens often enough that it can ruin your night, and it can just mean that you don't want to play anymore.
Yep.
Okay. What does this mean for solo queues? As a solo queue player, I play a lot of solo queue. I don't play against any 5 stacks at all. I think they've either patched that out of the game.
I think it's gone entirely.
Yeah. So incredibly rarely that it doesn't really matter. How is the system broken for you in that regard? Well, they changed something at the start of the season, and if you paid attention to the patch notes, you would have seen it there too. What they did was they made it so that you maintain the same matchmaking elo, like your hidden rating, as what you had in the patch before. So say you ended around 1600 last season, you got squished down to the veteran rank as you would at the start of every season. They made it so that you would still get matched with players based on your 1600 rating. Now, the intention of this, I imagine, was to make it so that your game quality doesn't drastically change at the start of the season. I've seen other games do this, and they've made the same mistake that Pokemon Unite did. And what ends up happening is that the reverse effect ends up taking place. You end up having to play with much, much, much lower rated players to compensate your higher rated hidden MMR that you've got. And as a result, you end up having to play some of the most outrageous games of Pokemon Unite ever. And
so this is interesting to me. I think I heard Chris say something about this, but I don't really pay attention that much, where the hidden MMR stayed the same, but your rank got reset, and it made the games really, really bad. I didn't see it. I can't feel it. I didn't feel it myself. But if that's true, I mean, it's like, honestly, and this is like a non-rhetorical question, how much worse could it have been, right? Because, dude, even whenever I was Masters at the end of a season that was, not broken or whatever, the match quality is terrible. But it's because the player quality is terrible, and it's because there's not actually that many good people that play Pokemon Unite. And when you're at the highest rank, and everybody's at the highest rank, well, the matchmaking is just going to do what it does, which is make a game as fast as possible. So maybe it was worse, but like, how much worse could it actually be? And if it was worse, then oh my god, I can't even imagine, right? Like, I did hear that like Chris was having a super rough season, and it's just like, it just is what the game is, right? Like, I think the scariest reality is that wherever this video goes, wherever we end with these thoughts, my thought is that this is never going to change. Pokemon Unite will never change. I quit the game because it's never going to change. It's never going to be a fun competitive game. It's never going to have a solo duo leaderboard. It's never going to be actually skillful and where you have matches that are skillful, and it's never going to stop with the 5 stacking against the duo trios. It's never going to have a leaderboard that anybody that's not playing on a team can get on. So what's the point of playing? If you're, look, the question is this non-rhetorical question. If you right here, whoever's hearing this right now, if you're not on a competitive team, why do you play? Because I promise you I know the answer. The answer is because you like Pokemon. But if you can't tell me because you think the game is good or because you have fun, then that's a problem. And there will be people that say, well, I play, it's fun, you know, it is fun, but you're also dealing with the bullshit to have that fun. So I understand that, because that's why I played for a while, and that's why I do hop on every now and then and play now. So it's fun to play physically, but the experience isn't that fun.
You know, it's not to say that some players are just worse and they make the game objectively worse for you. I don't want to bring anyone down with the sentiment here, but at the end of the day, if you're someone that wins the game consistently, it doesn't feel really satisfying to have to match up with players that not only lose the game consistently,
there we go,
but lose the game consistently against other people that lose the game consistently, which is what happened at the start of the season. You saw, you know, players like myself, Chris Heroes, Gatlu, all of the top pro players all start the season with negative win rates, not because suddenly it's just a bad patch and we all at the same time just got significantly worse at the game, but the game was literally matching games that were almost impossible to win. Now, this obviously balances itself out. Our ratings come down, our hidden MMR gets more aligned with our true MMR, and we're able to kind of balance that out, and the games feel much, much more playable. But that being said, even in 5 stacks, even if they were to fix the matchmaking bugs that they have, the state of the balance is just too volatile for the current pick and ban or pick system to work. In competitive games, we have access to pick and ban features now, which allow us to draft Pokemon. Neither team can just pick the best 5 characters they want because they have to pick in order. You can't pick something that's already been selected. Teams can ban characters. So the game feels a lot more balanced, and I think they're balancing the game around this fact too. But for a high-rated 5-stack team, they could literally just pick the 5 best characters in the game for each role and just go at it. You could have a team that was Trevenant, Zacian, Comfey, or Shifu, Espeon, or Mew. In that type of team composition, you would never, ever, ever.
Pokemon Unite came out July 21st, 2021. This game is coming up on 2 years old, and it has a ranked mode that has mirror matches in it. Like, and if you're a non-MOBA player, if you're a non-like competitive MOBA player, or anybody that plays MOBA seriously, you may not understand why this is a problem, but it's a competitive integrity issue. Like, the best teams, regardless of matchmaking, right? Let's pretend matchmaking and ranked is perfect. The best teams are literally going to pick the best team comp or a version of it, and they're going to spam it all day long. And that's what you see, right? Like, let's do the thing, right? Let's literally go. Look, okay, number 1 rated player, I destroy you, right? Cool. How much you want to bet he's playing 1 Pokemon the whole every game for oh, look at that, Comfey. Oh, look at that, it's all Espeon. Oh, look at that. Maybe, you know, he flexes a little bit here and there, but you get the point, right? He doesn't have to have a character pool. He doesn't have to be that good at the game. No offense. So you have to be good to win all your matches with your 5-stack team, but you absolutely get the point, right? Like, you can basically 1 and 2 trick things. This player actually plays quite a bit. And so, you know, again, this is all about competitive integrity and having like an actual competitive MOBA. And Pokemon Unite just isn't that game. It's just not. It's a Pokemon game that's put on the mobile phone, that's put on the Switch, that's heavily monetized because they can make a lot of money. And in return, they give away $1 million for Worlds, right? Or whatever it is. You know, it's like whatever, dude. They're tossing out pennies to competitive players to market the game so that way they can make a fuck ton of money off of a terrible game.
Be able to achieve in a normal competitive game that has pick and bans. But with the current state of the ladder, you can. So it seems like no matter what type of player you are right now, the game feels like it's pretty unfun to play. I'm not advocating for anyone to stop playing the game, because I still play this game every day. I play this game when I'm not streaming, play this game for outside of content, I play this game for content. Genuinely don't like other games as much as I like Pokemon Unite, but it still feels like a struggle. So I'm not going anywhere. I love this game too much, and if my influence means anything, if the influence of my peers means anything, I hope we can make enough noise so that at least the developers can start to hear what we're dealing with.
You can't. They don't care. They don't care. I had a private conversation that was not under NDA with a developer or with a producer from Tencent, and you can call bullshit on this if you want. I don't care. And I told him a bunch of feedback. I wrote so much feedback for the game, and there were big talking points that I had in my feedback where he was like, "Oh, that we're not going to do. That we're not going to do. That'll never happen. Oh, they want it like this because it's approachable." Like, and it ended up coming down to him having questions for me about player retention. What can we do to make the player retention better? Like, what can we do to make people want to stick around? And I was like, I was so frustrated because I was like in the call and I was like, you can make the game good. Like, you can actually just make it like objectively better to play, and then people will want to play it, as opposed to like the non-competitive mess that the game is. So,
and all I'm looking for are small improvements. You know, maybe we can have the game not crash as often. Maybe we can implement picks and bans for master 5-stack teams. Maybe they can revert the matchmaking algorithm changes they made.
Or maybe they can add a solo duo mode, or maybe they could add...
a change needs to be done, and
know,
I'm all here for it.
Actually needing to be good and win to climb the ranked mode. I don't know. Pokemon Unite is not a game that can be saved, but people will play it because it's got their favorite little furry creatures, and I respect that. So, friends, that's my thoughts. Big shout outs to Inder for putting out this video, and yeah, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'll post some more gameplays because I do enjoy the game every now and then. Hop on, play it. I'm still in Ultra, right? I don't care. I'll get my sticker maybe someday if I don't get my sticker, whatever. But yeah, hope y'all have a wonderful day. Nice talking to y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.